The reason some people turn to philosophy, my own journey into philosophy, can be traced back to a deep, almost primal feeling I've had since childhood. That existence itself is inherently strange. Think about it. Here we are existing. Isn't that peculiar? Of course it's peculiar. What do we mean by peculiar? Well, it's something that stands out against a flat, even backdrop. You can't appreciate what stands out without the flat background against which it contrasts. Every one of us is unique and different in our own way. But how do we understand what unique really means? It's defined against a background of something that isn't differentiated, like the concept of space. This realization often triggers a philosophical curiosity, an itch that makes you ponder why things are the way they are. Eventually, you might realize that asking why is not very productive. Instead, you start asking how things are the way they are, which leads you into the realms of science and other forms of inquiry. You start to question what existence really is. But after enough contemplation, it dawns on you that even if you could answer this question, you wouldn't have the right terms to express it. When we study the properties of nature and obtain answers, these answers are framed in terms of structures, forms, and patterns. These can be measured and their behavior predicted. But when you ask what these forms are made of, what existence itself is, you run into a problem. To answer that, you'd need a class of all classes, which is beyond our grasp. Asking what is it is akin to asking if something is an animal, vegetable, or mineral, or if it fits into other classifications like political affiliation or religion. We always classify to provide answers, distinguishing between what belongs to a group and what does not. But what about the group of all groups? We can't even imagine the outside of this all-encompassing category. Physicists have moved away from seeking the fundamental stuff of the universe, instead offering a description based entirely on form and patterns. The more we zoom in on matter, the more it reveals itself as patterns rather than substance. As we explore further, we find that what we thought was stuff simply transforms into forms and structures. Crystals become molecules, and molecules become wave patterns. Ultimately, the notion of substance or stuff disappears. The question becomes, does it matter? The term matter derives from the Sanskrit word matra, which means to measure. This root also gives us the word maya, which translates to illusion or creative power. Illusion itself comes from the Latin ludere, meaning to play or pretend. The world, in this view, is like a musical composition. Good music doesn't refer to anything beyond itself. It is its own meaning. Giraffes are just giraffing, trees are just treeing, stars are starring, and so on. Everything appears and disappears, continually changing. If you focus solely on your own form, you create a duality. You are your form, but your form is also what you're doing. For some reason, you may feel a compulsion to extend your existence indefinitely, driven by an instinct for survival. In ethical and moral discussions, this instinct is commonly accepted. Survival is paramount, and certain behaviors promote it. However, when you tell yourself you must continue living, you impose a double bind. You're instructing a spontaneous process to persist, creating a paradox. This duality is evident in the way we impose expectations on ourselves. Expectations that only make sense if they are carried out voluntarily. In essence, we often live not in the present moment, where reality truly exists, but with the belief that life's satisfaction will come in the future. Don't be deceived. Placing hope in the future is a form of self-deception.